Hi guys, it's Miss Denise again. Today we are going to connect two topics that we have seen. First, do you remember this topic? Adverbs. An adverb is a word that describes when, where, or how something happens. So an adverb describes, okay? Describes. We already know that we have different types of adverbs. When, where, and how. In when we have now, often, we have inside, we have here, easily, horribly. All these words are adverbs, okay? We can use adverbs to form superlative and comparative. And we follow the same rules, but with adverbs. Let's go to readers and writers. Page 353. When I say underline or highlight, you have to underline or highlight, okay? Because this information is important. Let's read. You can use adverbs to compare actions. You can use adverbs to compare. So we can use adverbs to form comparative and superlative. The ER form of an adverb compares two things, two actions, sorry. So remember that when we use comparative, we have to compare two things, two actions. Okay? This is a comparative adverb. Okay? D-E-S-T form of an adverb compares three or more actions. Compares three or more actions. Remember, when we use superlative, we compare more than two things or two actions. For example, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 20. And here we have examples. But first, please underline adverbs, underline compare, underline ER, underline compares to actions, underline EST, underline compares three or more actions. Please underline the words that I told you. Okay. Now, let's read the sentences. Jeremy works hard. Hard. Hard is the adverb. Hard. Jeremy works harder than Tom does. We are comparing two things. We are comparing Jeremy and Tom. How many things? Two. One, two. This is my adverb. How do I compare? You have to add er to your adverb. Do you see? Harder. Jeremy works harder. So you have to add er to form the comparative of an adverb. This is my adverb. How is the comparative? I have to add er. So harder. And don't forget to write than. You always have to put than when you use superlative. Always. Jeremy works harder than Thomas does. Miss Denise works harder than Lupita does. Miss Denise works harder than her mom does. Okay, we have different examples. So this is comparative, okay? Remember, comparative uses er. Comparative er. Let's read the other example. Jeremy works hardest. Hardest of all the students. All the students. Here we are comparing more than two things because we are comparing with all the students. Maybe the students are 25 or 26, we don't know, but we are comparing with all the students. Jeremy works hardest. And when you use est, that is superlative. Superlative. So remember, for superlative, you have to add est. And for comparative, you have to add er. This is the same as the last presentation. You already know how to form comparative and superlative. Okay? Most adverbs that end in YL, do you remember these words with ly? Horribly, beautifully, happily, all the words that have ly use more and most to make comparisons, to compare. The truck moved slowly. This is my adverb, okay? How do I know that this is an adverb? Because it has L and it has Y. So how do I form comparative? I have to add more. The truck moved more slowly than the car. So you have to add the word more. And you have to write your adverb. More slowly. Now, how do I form superlative? You have to add most. Most slowly. most slowly. This is superlative. You have to remember superlative used most. Comparative use more. Okay? Now let's here. Directions underline the adverb that compares in each sentence. You have to identify the adverb in comparative or superlative. Remember the words that end with est or r or er. So you have to underline the words with er, est, or ly. Okay? For example, in the first one, Mr. Alvarez sings the loudest of all the employees at the bakery. What is the adverb comparing here? Mr. Alvarez sing the loudest. Loudest is the adverb in comparative. Why? How do I know? Because it has est. Loudest. In number 2, you are going to do the rest of the sentence alone. Remember, you have to underline the words with est, the words with er, or the words with ly. In the second part, directions, circle the correct word in parentheses. To complete each sentence, you have to choose. Number 6, the muffins bake than the cinnamon rolls. We are comparing two things, and when we compare two things, we use comparative. What is the answer? Slower or slowest? For comparative we use er. So the correct answer is slower. Number 7, Mr. Costa works of all the bakers, all. In this sentence, in number 7, we are comparing more than two things. And when we compare more than two things, we use what? Superlative. Number 8, of all the workers, Tony sings. What is the answer? You have to pay attention. All. We are comparing more than two things. More of all the workers, more than two things. So we have to use superlative. And what is the superlative? You have to check your notes. Number 9, Mr. Costa mixes sweet roll dog than Tony. In number 9, we are comparing only two things. We are comparing Mr. Costa and Tony. So we have to use comparative. Comparative. As in number 6. Number 6, uses comparative. In number 9, you have to use comparative because you are comparing Mr. Costa and Tony. So the answer, you already know the answer. This is easy. Number 10, the sweet rolls are done. Of all. We are comparing more than two things. So we have to use superlative. What is the answer? You have to choose the answer in superlative. In number 9, you have to choose the answer in comparative. In number 8, you have to choose the word with superlative. In number 7, you have to choose the word in superlative. And number 6, you already have the answer. We are comparing two things, and when we compare two things, we use comparative. ER, because comparative uses ER and superlative uses EST. Okay, so try to answer alone. You can do it. And that would be everything for the class. Don't forget to write your name and complete day, okay? Because I have seen some homeworks with the short date. You have to write the complete date. You know how to write it. See you guys.